The year was 2018, a year that would be marked by significant upheaval in the global trade landscape. The Trump administration, in a move that sent shockwaves through the global economy, decided to take a bold and controversial step. They slapped tariffs on imported cars and auto parts, a decision that would ripple across continents. This was a direct hit on Japan, a titan in the automotive industry, known for its precision engineering and high-quality vehicles. The world held its breath, anticipating a trade war of epic proportions. Economists and analysts predicted dire consequences. But Japan, with its rich history of resilience and innovation, decided to take a different path. Instead of retaliatory tariffs, they chose a route of strategic maneuvering and economic resilience, showcasing their unique approach to problem-solving. This wasn't about political grandstanding. This was about survival, about ensuring the longevity and prosperity of their automotive industry. It was about outsmarting the tariffs, not fighting them head-on. They knew that a direct confrontation would be costly and potentially damaging. Japanese automakers, known for their lean manufacturing and innovative prowess, went into overdrive. They ramped up their efforts to stay ahead. They meticulously analyzed the new landscape, identifying vulnerabilities and opportunities, leaving no stone unturned. Their response, a multi-pronged strategy that focused on diversification, innovation, and a relentless pursuit of efficiency. They aimed to turn the challenge into an opportunity. This wasn't just about weathering a storm, it was about transforming adversity into a catalyst for growth. This was about emerging stronger, more adaptable, and ready to dominate the future of the auto industry. Japan's response was a testament to their enduring spirit and innovative mindset. The US tariffs weren't just a bilateral issue, they were a seismic event that sent shockwaves through the entire global economy. They sent ripples across the entire global auto industry, affecting every corner of the market. Supply chains, intricately woven across borders, were thrown into disarray. The once smooth flow of parts and components was now a tangled web of delays and uncertainties. Manufacturers around the world scrambled to reassess their strategies, unsure of what the future held. Meetings were held, plans were redrawn, and contingency measures were put in place. The tariffs had inadvertently created a high-stakes game of chess. Every move mattered, and the stakes were higher than ever before. Countries and companies alike were forced to make strategic decisions with long-term implications. The pressure to adapt and innovate was immense. Some faltered under the pressure, unable to cope with the rapid changes. However, others like Japan saw this as an opportunity to reshape the playing field and emerge as leaders in the new world order of automotive manufacturing. Japan's resilience and adaptability came to the forefront. This was no longer just about selling cars, it was about redefining the entire industry. It was about controlling the technologies, the supply chains, and ultimately, the future of mobility. The race was on to innovate and lead. And Japan, with its characteristic blend of foresight and determination, was ready to play the long game. They were not just reacting to the changes but proactively shaping the future. The focus shifted to developing cutting-edge technologies, from electric vehicles to autonomous driving systems. The goal was clear: to be at the forefront of the next automotive revolution. As the global auto industry continued to evolve, the players who could adapt and innovate would be the ones to thrive. The landscape was changing, and those who could see the bigger picture were positioning themselves for success. Japanese automakers, facing the brunt of the tariffs, didn't flinch. They understood that survival depended on adaptation. Companies like Toyota and Honda, renowned for their fuel-efficient vehicles, doubled down on hybrid technology. Toyota, already a leader in hybrid vehicles with its Prius model, ramped up production and development. They knew that American consumers, facing higher prices for traditional gasoline-powered cars, would be looking for alternatives. They were ready to provide them. Nissan, on the other hand, went all in on electric vehicles. They saw the future of the auto industry in EVs, and the tariffs only strengthened their resolve. The Leaf, Nissan's flagship electric car, became a symbol of Japan's commitment to sustainable mobility. These weren't just reactive measures, they were calculated steps in a long-term strategy to dominate the global auto market by offering the technologies of the future. Japan's response to the tariffs wasn't just about shifting gears in technology. It was a multifaceted strategy that involved a deep understanding of global economics and future-proofing their industry. It was also about diversifying its supply chains and manufacturing footprint. By spreading their production capabilities across different regions, they aimed to mitigate risks and enhance their global presence. As early as 2018, Japanese automakers began investing heavily in production facilities in countries like Mexico, Thailand, and India. These investments were not just about avoiding tariffs but also about tapping into new markets and labor pools. This strategic move allowed them to bypass the tariffs by producing cars in regions with more favorable trade agreements with the US. It also enabled them to be more competitive in those local markets, offering products that were both cost-effective and tailored to regional preferences. It also gave them a hedge against future disruptions, ensuring that their production wouldn't be held hostage to the whims of any single country's trade policies. This foresight and diversification meant that they could continue operations smoothly, even in the face of geopolitical tensions. But Japan's diversification went beyond just physical manufacturing. They understood that the future of the automotive industry would be driven by technological advancements. They also made strategic investments in technology and innovation, pouring resources into research and development of electric vehicles. This was a clear indication that they were not just reacting to current market demands, but were also anticipating future trends: autonomous driving systems and artificial intelligence. These technologies were seen as the next frontier in automotive innovation, and Japan wanted to be at the forefront of this revolution. This wasn't just about selling cars today, it was about creating a sustainable and innovative future for the industry. It was about owning the technologies that would define the future of mobility. By investing in these areas, Japan ensured that they would remain leaders in the global automotive market for years to come. Section 5. A measured response. While Japanese automakers were busy adapting and innovating, the Japanese government was playing a different kind of chess. Instead of engaging in tit-for-tat tariffs, they chose a more measured response, focusing on diplomacy and strategic partnerships. They worked with international organizations like the World Trade Organization to address the issue of trade imbalances, while simultaneously strengthening ties with key allies like the European Union. This multi-pronged approach allowed them to address the underlying trade tensions without resorting to economically damaging protectionist measures. This calm, calculated approach stood in stark contrast to the often bombastic rhetoric surrounding trade wars. It was a testament to Japan's long-term vision and their understanding that true economic strength lay not in isolation, but in strategic collaboration and global engagement. Section 6. Shifting sands of production. As Japanese automakers ramped up production in other parts of the world, the flow of cars into the United States market continued, albeit with a slight twist. Instead of made in Japan, many cars now bore the labels of Mexico, Thailand, or Canada. The tariffs had inadvertently accelerated a trend that was already in motion: the globalization of the auto industry. Manufacturing was no longer confined to a single country, but was spread across a complex web of interconnected factories and supply chains. This shift had profound implications for the American auto industry. While the tariffs were intended to protect American jobs, they ended up accelerating the decline of domestic manufacturing as companies struggled to compete with the lower production costs and diversified supply chains of their foreign counterparts. Section 7. The American ripple effect. The impact of the tariffs and Japan's strategic response was felt deeply within the United States. While consumers faced higher prices for both domestic and imported cars, American auto parts suppliers found themselves in a precarious position. With Japanese automakers shifting production elsewhere, the demand for American-made parts declined. This ripple effect highlighted the interconnected nature of the global auto industry, where disruptions in one part of the world could have unforeseen consequences thousands of miles away. Furthermore, the tariffs inadvertently hampered the growth of the electric vehicle market in the United States. By making it more expensive to import electric cars and batteries, the tariffs slowed down the adoption of this crucial technology, hindering America's transition to a more sustainable transportation future. Section 8. The rise of the electric samurai. Despite the challenges posed by the tariffs, Japan's focus on innovation and technological advancement never wavered. In fact, the tariffs seem to have only strengthened their resolve to lead the world in the transition to electric and autonomous vehicles. Japanese automakers poured billions of dollars into research and development, forging partnerships with tech giants and startups alike. Toyota, for instance, partnered with Panasonic to develop next-generation batteries, while Honda collaborated with Waymo on self-driving technology. These strategic alliances, combined with Japan's long-standing expertise in electronics, robotics, and material science, positioned them as frontrunners in the race to define the future of mobility. The tariffs, intended to protect the American auto industry, may have inadvertently paved the way for its disruption by Japanese innovation.